All right.
Good evening, ma'am.
Very good evening to all of you. So today is 27th of August and we would be starting with our chapter 5. That's Montessori School Administration. By the name itself, we understand what a school and how a school can be administered. And since we are working with Montessori schools, our entire topic is going to be on managing and administering the Montessori schools. Okay, so let me quickly ask you a question. What is school according to you?
Get to know more information.
Okay, a place where you get to know more information, definitely yes.
We can get friendship bonds, and we can have more communication. We can increase our communication also.
Definitely yes. You can actually get along with many people. You can communicate. Definitely yes. Any other answers? What is school according to you? You can talk to me in any language. If you're not able to express, please say, because the entire topic is going to be on school. So we just need to understand what is school according to you.
Yes. Yeah. So different people do have different answers. But again, what happens here is like in the olden days, we used to consider school as a temple. Agree?
Yes.
School ek mandir tha. It was like considered to be as a temple wherein we all students, teachers, we used to come together. We used to sit, and if there was no floor, if it was not, we didn't have a room also. We used to sit together. It could be outdoors. We used to sit under the tree. Even if there is no carpet, we used to sit on the mud. We used to sit on the grass and we used to learn. But what was our intention? It was a place for us to learn something. And that was a simple thing that we had to understand, irrespective of what the caste was, what was the creed, what was our color, what was the gender. The education of the schools were meant to provide education to all of the children. Not only children. In the olden days, we did have women education. We did have people coming down in the evenings to learn something. Even we did have elderly people coming to schools. So no matter what is the age, we don't consider on that. So it is a place wherein you will meet up with people, you will learn new things, you will acquire some knowledge. So does it require hard work?
Does it require dedication? Does it require repetition? Does it require your entire skill that you actually put in? Definitely yes. So all these are considered to be as your school. So if at all, if you are looking through page number 142, this is what we talk about, what is a school. So you can go through that. I wouldn't go in detail of it. Now, the second topic is like, whenever I do have a school, I got to manage my school. And who is responsible for managing the school? It's the head of the institution. It could be the management who is responsible, correct? Now, what is the management responsible
Coordinator.
for?
Coordinator.
Coordinators you definitely need. You need principals. Even if it's a bigger school, you definitely need a HR head, accountant, administrator, counselor, principal, vice principal, right? We definitely need so many people. And again, a board will be there to control all of that. Now, when I'm actually working on the members of the management, it will especially be the board members. Now, they are responsible to run your entire school. So what is their important task? Finance, anything that is responsible for them to make sure that the institution is running properly. So they would be having the direct control of the finance. We're not talking about who's taking the admission. Where is the fund going? The fund goes to the management because they are the only ones who would be able to direct certain things. They would be able to control, and they are the team who are going to energize the institution. Now, what if me being the management team, what if I do not hire proper teachers? Do I be able to provide energy to everybody? It is not possible. So that's the reason what happens. Management has to have a good amount of skill so that we inspire team members, we encourage the team members, we also recognize the individual worth of every employee in that school. Now, Lipika has got a good skill set. Shweta might have a good skill set. What if I I'm not able to understand the skill set of both of them. So it becomes very difficult to manage the employees also, correct? So this is what is the responsibility of a school management, which again derives, is the school a living school or a dead school? Now, what is considered to be as a dead school? Very dull, no activities, none of the teachers have energy, children are lazy to come, maybe your methodology is too old, you're not teaching properly, or you're teaching the same things which is very monotonous, you're repeating the same thing, and maybe the teachers are not directly involved, correct? So there is no creativity. When the teachers do not show creativity, how will you expect the child to become creative? That's not possible, right? So such schools are considered to be as the dead schools. Now, any time that you recognize, yes, this activity is getting bored by a child, that is where you have to deteriorate. What is deterioration? You will switch forward and you would be able to make certain changes. So, who is responsible for making a dead school into a living school? Not only the management, not only the principals, headmasters, headmistress, it's every employee of that organization is responsible. Agree? Yes, we need science. Agree, strongly agree. Definitely, yes, we definitely need. So, what do I need first? I need a principal, correct? So, now start writing down the points. So, I need a principal or a headmaster or a headmistress, depending on that. Now, how should be my headmaster? Very hardworking, very smart working, should know about anything and everything about the school, right? From finance to children to teachers to non-teaching, logistics, assets, everything. So, my headmaster or the principal should be enthusiastic. At the same time, she should be or he should be creative, hardworking, and add as many adjectives as possible. Now, to support this principal or the headmaster, I would definitely need my efficient teachers, isn't it? So, the teacher should also be physically fit. See, here we're not talking about teaching and training. Teachers needs to be physically fit. You stand for longer periods. Now, what if you do not find joy in teaching? That is also important. You are creative, but if you're not physically fit, if you're not enjoying what you're teaching, the eagerness for you to teach and the eagerness for the children to learn becomes difficult. Always be curious, always be research minded. Every day when you go back home, always rethink, what should I do next for my next class. If there is a science experiment, do a little bit of research. Find out the simple exercises, find an alternative. Children are super smart. You go prepared with one experiment and the children are so enthusiastic, they want to do another one. So as teachers, you need to be research oriented, get more handful of information. Not only teachers, principals, do we need good students? Yeah. What if there are no good students for us? It's going to be very chaotic, isn't it? It's so difficult for us also to manage, because whatever the outcome that you put, did you all notice? Shanti ma'am had put a beautiful status today morning. Did you see? No? Go and check the status of Shanti's WhatsApp today. It's the clipping from the movie Helen. Okay, so that's one of the beautiful movie clipping that you will be able to see. There's a special child, and the special child requires a lot of attention. So the mother would have appointed her, the Helen's teacher, a teacher to train Helen, but it was so difficult for her. But the teacher never gives up. She would have spent the entire 3 years, not 3 years, 3 hours, just to make sure that the child holds the spoon and takes the first bite. And once she does that and she comes back and she says, I'm very happy your daughter did this all by her own, picked up the spoon and had the first bite. The struggle for 3 hours is she would have thrown all the things, everything would have been into pieces. Yeah, you see that clipping, you will understand the effort of a teacher, the patience level. But ultimately, when she was given a chance to be with that child, to train her with the given amount of period of time, when the teacher never gives up, any kind of a student can be molded. Okay, so why I wanted to tell you this: if your class is not being good enough, if the student community is not good enough, no matter what effort you put, sometimes it becomes really waste. So you need to also be a skilled person so that your children start to work with you. And the children should also be ready to learn from you when you are introducing a topic. Agree? So who are the people important to run a school? Principal, headmaster, my efficient teachers, good student community, and what else? What else you need? Do we need a curriculum or a syllabus? Otherwise, you will go nuts, no? You don't know
And
what to teach.
students,
Students, you definitely need students. Student community is group of students. I need to have good number of students. Now, what about my finance? If the school is not paying the teachers or the headmasters, how will the teachers come? The finance should also be really good enough to run successfully. These are very important. You need to have funds, you need to have teachers, you need to have management team, you need to have students. Only then you will be able to work on that. So these are something which is very, very important for us. Now, when I have a school, when I have a good team, to administer my school, do I have some aims and objectives? The next topic, please note down. It's aims and objectives of school administration. Now, what do I work? What is my aim, first of all? First of all, like, Lipika and Niveta said, the first thing is like, the people come to school, or school is something where we can socialize. Agree? That's the first thing. We come together to socialize. So as teachers, as parents, we expect a lot for the students to live together in a social circumstance. Living together at any particular point of time. Say maybe it's art room, they have to be in an art room. They have to be together to perform an activity. So that is the kind of an efficient objective or an aim for a teacher should be. First thing is like the student should have a social life. You need to get them a friend. Agree? The second point is you need to bring your communities closer. When I say communities closer, your community is student community, parent community, management community. So you should always have a link, good rapport with your colleagues, with your parents, and with your students. That's very important. Okay, that's your second aim. The third thing is like you need to see what is your child's interest. Is my child interested in a particular sport or dance or drama, or do they have any kind of an extra talent? Please check on that. Depending on that, you see the ability. When you start recognizing their interests and abilities, you will definitely be able to see how children would blossom into their personality. That gives them a good amount of confidence. Correct? So this is where we actually see on what is the philosophy of life. So our philosophy of life totally depends on what am I able to do, not on what Prasanna is doing. If I start targeting Prasanna, Prasanna went for a walk and came back. Now, what if I get jealous of Prasanna? Look at her, 3:30, 4 o'clock, she went for a walk and came back. I'm not doing anything. I'm sitting here and sleeping. Maybe we have a different agenda for that. See, that is not the perspective. The philosophy of life is what you can do at your best. So never ever compare yourself. So the same thing is what we need to educate children also. When they have competitions, when they have their innate abilities, always make sure. See, these are the ones you will never get it in books. Teachers will be teachers. They will start comparing. But how would you become a different teacher? Or how would you become a teacher whom everybody wants to remember? Only when you start believing in every student and encourage them for their ability and give them that meaningful perspective of what is their philosophy of life. You tell them, Lakshmi, you're so good in writing. Why don't you participate in handwriting competition? Niveta, you are so good in drawing. Why don't you participate in drawing? Learn these colors. Share a little bit more on coloring things for her. Give her some tips. If Lipika is very good in miniature activities like mandala arts and other things, you tell her like that. It helps her to focus a little bit more. Right? Prasanna is very good in running and walking. So you ask her to participate in a marathon, which is coming up in the neighborhood. So those are the pieces of information that you need to give. So that is going to enable your students to have the right type of philosophy in life. Agree? Okay, so this is all good practices. Okay, once you start working on these practices, once you plan, see your everyday's agenda should be you plan and go, and then you take up your task, then you facilitate. Okay, and don't do any kind of a wastage of any materials or anything. So always use the maximum educational facilities. If there are different rooms in your school, go to different rooms. If there is a play zone, do not hesitate not to go to the play zone. If there is an auditorium, give them a privilege to stand there, speak in front of that facility. So that is what we actually see. Use the maximum to what your child is able to work on that particular facility. Okay, always we are not perfect, so experiment. What one teacher does, the other teachers, it doesn't work. Always research, always experiment, see what works better for you. Okay, so these are some of your aims and objectives. Very, very, very important question, for sure question, which always comes in almost all the exams. What are the aims and objectives for a very good school administration? I think your book also has around 8 to 10 points. Please note down all of them and read it like a story. Okay, agree? Let's go to the next point. Now, whenever you have to work on administration, see, now we know we got a good team, headmaster, teachers, community, syllabus, then funds. We got all that. And then we also understood the aims and objectives. Now, what is more important? That itself is not sufficient for you to run and administer a school. You definitely need some more things. What are those things that we need to work? These are the 8 important points that you need to market. So 8 points that is required for you to work on administering your school. The first important one is planning. Okay, how many of you all want to start your own school after, like, say 5 years or 4 years or immediately after your course? Each one would have joined this particular course with some intention. Prasanna wants to open a school, right? So what is very important for Prasanna to begin with, that is a very good intention that she wants to start a school. So her school's starting begins with planning. Agree? So she will start right from the beginning. How do I plan my school? Where will I set up my school? What are the facilities that I need to be giving it when I'm starting my school? How many teachers should I hire? Good planning is very important, correct? So it's like when you're harvesting good seeds, it needs a little patience for it to grow. But every day you can't go and dig in and see whether it is working, whether it is working, whether it is growing or growing. No, you need to give it a little time. So that means any time that you are planning for anything new, give it a little time, plan it effectively. It needs a lot of patience. And starting something new is like taking risk. So you need to have the courage to take that risk. You need to have experience also to plan something. If you're not having any kind of experience on that, please do take help of the other people, learned people, and bring all of that. So when you're planning, you will have many things, right, Prasanna? You will have your own imaginations. So you will bring all of that, right? So all these are very, very important in your first stage. So planning is important. The second point that we need to be working is related to organizing. Now, much before planning, what you need to also think about is what kind of school are you going to start? Is it only a preschool, or is it a primary? Is it a pre-primary, middle, high school, senior secondary? What is that? Or is it going to be central based school? Or is it a state level affiliation? Or is it an international level? What are the languages that I'm going to use? Right? So you need to also get into the dynamic process, because before you get started with your school, there are a couple of other things. You have to follow the state norms to open the school, and then you need to get it registered accordingly. So whatever is required for the documentation part, you have to take that. So that's your first thing. Second is organizing. Please note down. First is planning. Second is organizing. Now, what is organizing? What is organizing? Organizing, we have many things. Okay, so I have human beings. I need to organize human beings, my teachers, my students, my parents. So I need to organize that. Second thing, I do have materials, books, inventory, many other things, bags, whatever is my inventory, I need to also organize that. So organizing is setting up things so that you would be able to provide a rightful environment for your children. Agree? So there is no confusion. So when you keep everything in order, there is no chaos. What is chaos? No confusion. So when there is no confusion, we don't waste time in searching for a particular material. We don't waste our energy in redoing the same activity over and again. Correct? So this is what is considered to be as how do you manage things? It could be human materials. It could be non-human materials. Okay. I always call employees as human materials. Okay. Those are always important because only then when you successfully put both of them together, it becomes easy for you. Clear? Planning. For the second one? Organizing. The third one is the most important one, that's staffing. Okay, staffing is very, very important. Teachers should have good quality, they should have good qualification, and they should be able to work for the betterment of students. So this is very, very important. So depending on the teacher's capability and the capacity, they get their pay scales, and the pay scales can actually differ from one teacher to another, because we would be using, or the institution would be using to the maximum usage of that particular employee. The fourth one, guys, is budget. Very, very important. Anything cannot run without you allocating the budget. Right from marketing to the smooth functioning of the school, you definitely need budget. So always be conscious about how do you manage your funds. Your school management should have at least 6 months of funding so that they would run the organization, and they should be able to pay salaries for their employees. Usually people say 3 months, but it's always better that you keep 6 months of funding in your school so that you will not find anything difficulty. So what does that say? You cannot use the management funds for your personal use. Agree? Even though you have funds in your organization, you cannot take that, because hundreds of students or thousands of students are dependent, and hundreds of employees are dependent for the entire academic session. So you need to follow up for the rentals, you need to follow for your allowances, your miscellaneous, your EMIs, everything. You need to keep all those budgets, because most of the schools do collect annual fee, or they take twice a year or thrice a year, quarterly or half yearly. But the school should be responsible enough to retain the funds till the end of the academic year. And not only that, they should also be taking care for the holiday period also, because holidays we don't have children, but the school should be able to sustain. So that again puts back into the management team should be more conscious when it is related to the financial aspects of education, because you cannot shut down a school because you don't have funds. Agree? Yeah, we can't do that. So a lot of consumptions, lot of staffing, lot of conscious spending is very, very important. Okay, because when the institution is growing, the expenditure will also grow. But what you need to also work is like the wastage. Wherever you don't need it, you need to cut down that and get into a budget which gets into the smooth functioning of the institution. So that was your fourth. Now the most important one, record report. Okay, observation. So every little detail about your child, you need to record. And whoever is your authority, you go to them and you will report. So you have registers, you go sign for your attendance, you come back there, right? Why it is important? It's very, very important, because any time that there is a digital data that gets erases also, the manual data should be there. Okay, it depends upon school to school. How are they recording and how are they reporting? But these are very, very important, and you need to make sure these are up to date. Okay, so you have to keep your records up to date. What's the next point? Can somebody read and tell me? What's the next point? The sixth one or the fifth one?
Direction.
Direction, ma'am.
Okay, so when we're talking about the directions, what is direction? You guide somebody, right? So if you are a new member, if nobody is directing you, you don't know where to start, where to end, what time to come, what time to go, you don't know. Or if you have done any mistake, you don't know whether it is right or wrong. So if you have done a mistake, if somebody is correcting you or they have rectified you for that, that also becomes really good enough, right? So direction always should come from the principal or the headmistress or the head of the institution. Why from them? What if somebody else is giving? What if Lipika gives it to Lakshmi? Lakshmi might not take it very seriously. She'll be like, okay, she's also my colleague. Who is she to tell me? You're getting my point? So always, whenever it is direction, it has to come from the people who are authoritative. Okay? Always remember, if you are a senior teacher, you have that authority to guide and direct everybody. But if you're on the same level, people will not give you so much of, they would consider you to be very lenient most of the times,
Yeah,
and they
this
might
is
not
correct,
value.
ma'am.
That's correct?
Correct.
That's very correct, right? So even though your point is valid, people will not take. So that's the reason direction should always be given from a person who is authoritative, because their direction is unique and they would have a broad sense. And I'm talking about the broad sense, no partiality between a newcomer and a senior person. Correct? You're
Yes.
able to see now, because that's what it is actually coming. Their direction will be like, okay, I planned this. This is how we need to coordinate. This is how we need to record. We have to report. So that authoritative person will not only think about directing, they will think about so many other things. And they would be able to give you the rightful way. So this is very, very important. So it's a combined effort. Most of the time, bigger problems are solved when you direct and guide people from the day one or right from the smallest task. So that's something which is very, very essential for us to actually work. Okay. What's the next one? The seventh point talks about
Coordinating. Coordination.
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 Okay. See, coordination, why it is important? We have many teachers, many subjects, many languages. Agree? So many activities also going on the same day. Now, what if you are not coordinating with the other teachers?
Yes.
Example, Independence Day. Everybody wanted to do a dance performance. What if I did not coordinate? Maybe I would have chosen the same song for the dance. Maybe she would have also taken the same thing. So there is a duplicacy. There is overlapping. No proper communication. No coordination. And when you're presenting, so much of confusion. And you would always be criticized. Why did you do that? Or I have taken, this is not there. So your coordination is always relating to when you have different activities in your school at the same time, how can you correlate? When you talk and communicate, it brings a very, very harmonious relationship between the activities of the school and the employees of the school. So that's what are we avoiding? No confusion there. Correct? So this is what is there. So nobody is dissatisfied here. Agree? Everybody agrees on that. So the school would also function efficiently and you will be able to administer better. So coordination is very, very important. That's the reason we have coordinators. They will coordinate with all teachers and they would get back to us by giving with one simple communication. So if Manisha was not there, everybody would have come to me. Now I don't have to meet each one of them. I will only go to Manisha and I'll ask her what's the update of M1, what's the update of M2, M3 and M4. And we consolidatedly, whatever is the request that that team gives me, I will make all the worksheet, test papers, reports and other things. Only the teachers are called when they need any specific help or something. Otherwise, it's always through Manisha it comes and it comes back to me. I deliver the content only to Manisha and Manisha would leverage. So she takes all the prints, she will distribute it accordingly, so which saves a lot of time. So no confusion between the entire team. Agree? That's required. What's the next point?
Controlling.
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 Okay. Okay. Now, do you all agree that somebody should control each one of us? You agree or what? You don't agree? Shweta is smiling. Shweta, do we need somebody to control us? Now, what if there is no control?
Yes.
You come on whatever time that you want, you go at whatever time you want, and you will spend maybe like 10 chart papers you will take and make one craft and you will waste everything and go. So, what if there is no control in school? Life is easy, life is bad, life is pathetic.
Bad.
Bad, huh? You're saying bad. Okay. Okay. Controlling, the name itself says people will supervise you. Okay, so that's the reason you will have supervisors. Supervisors, what is the first task? Anything that you ask, they will say why you need it, how many you need it, by when you need it. Agree, Prasanna? Yes. So they put a lot of breaks to each of your activities. If you go with the requirement like this, they will cut it short to this much. Agree? Yes?
Yes.
You will say, I need 10 chart papers. They will say, why you need 10? If you don't justify, they will say, use 5. But if you give a proper justification, they'll say, okay, she needs it. So controlling means not only on the entire thing, but they will supervise on the entire administration, right from the books to finance to curriculum to taking printouts to using the pens, everything. Correct? So that means they know. So people who are involved into controlling ability, they're there right from planning. So they know if I don't control here, the finance will get proper. If that finance is hit there, I will not be able to coordinate. I am answerable to somebody else. Agree? So that's the reason it's very, very important. So sometimes controlling is correct. Sometimes over controlling is bad. Okay. You should not over control. There are schools. Okay. There are schools, even for a small paper, one sheet of paper, they have to write a letter and request. So the teachers have given up now. One sheet of paper, why should I write one sheet of letter and give it to them? So might as well, I will only buy one sheet of paper and use it. Okay. They ask for that and they document it also, why they have used it. Okay. So there are schools. Okay. So you should get in touch with people who are working with big schools. So you will know how much of micromanagement and how much of controlling that they do on every little possible things. And head of the institution is usually the controller of the organization. Agree? So they have a good relationship, but at the same time, they would be very, very diplomatic. Okay. So these are our 8
And the total
points.
sales order
Can somebody consolidate and tell me what's the first
at
point?
that time, that is the 24
Planning.
lakhs.
Planning.
This
Yes.
value
Second one,
Organizing.
got.
Organizing.
organizing. You got to organize. Then
Staffing.
you need good
Staff.
employees. Yes.
Let's
Budgeting.
Budgeting.
Budget. You need
Budgeting.
funds.
Recording and
Recording and
You need to record each child's observation and you need to also report to people, right? Okay. Next.
direction.
Direction.
You need somebody to guide you. Yes.
Coordination.
You definitely need coordination. And then last, very
Controlling.
important one,
Controlling.
somebody to control you. Okay. So these are our 8 points that we need to be looking and taking care of. Okay. So that is our first part of today's session. I want you to quickly disconnect and connect me back for our part 2.